Because
and it says we're live.
Because
And let me tell you,
is
that was the last time I saw that 12.5 kilograms of plutonium.
And
there's another watch list. But Austin's very, very, it's very, very touristic. So they go big on the Tex-Mex.
Well,
So that's why they have to warn you about the sauces, because their sauce is stupid hot.
well, we do have a guest today. If everybody will shut up for a second. There she is. Cedar has deigned to join us today from the wilds of Dallas.
The Metro Mess.
I have escaped briefly. I must return.
So
It was College Station that used to have a hot sauce store.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
those are all over the place.
The one in College Station is famous.
Yeah, they have literally hundreds and hundreds of different hot sauces.
They have thousands. I think they pride themselves on having every hot sauce in existence for sale.
And everybody's saying hello to Cedar.
Yeah, we don't rate a high, but
She's been here for 15 minutes. We've already said our highs.
Yeah.
Special guest appearance.
Anyway, I guess what I'd like to start with today is the whole cluster around Sunshine, Florida.
I thought we were doing weather.
That is, well,
Well, you said something.
the level,
Or Surfside, sorry.
it's incidents like this that highlight exactly how fucking stupid journalists are.
1 minute.
1 minute, 40 seconds.
It really is.
Yeah,
It really is. What questions were they asking?
The first question that was asked was, why, if they're already in danger, did they stop working when it was lightning?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
The reporter asked why they stopped working because it was only lightning. They were already in danger working the pile. And I'm getting 3 blank looks.
So, first rule of rescue, search and rescue,
Is don't wind up rescuing.
Yeah.
They've already had to do that.
Yeah.
A guy slipped and fell down a shaft yesterday.
Oh,
25
that
feet.
sucks.
Yeah. So
That's one of the reasons that you rope up anytime you're doing any kind of rescue.
Oh yeah.
I put a post up this morning on my blog about the background, because I was trained in this in Florida back in the 70s for incident command and rescue. And it's a long process. It was almost a 2-year process to get certified.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of put a background up, and then Dive Medic put a post up. He is current, much more current than I am. He's still working it, talking about it. But the other thing is, what keyed me was they said, well, it's going too slow. What people don't realize is
It's body recovery.
Yeah, it's recovery, not rescue.
no, they're still helped, because they've pulled live people out of collapsed buildings.
4 days. That's when you run out of water.
5 was
No.
the
guy that survived 5 days in Embarcadero died later because his kidneys never recovered.
Okay, but
4 days is what you get out of water, and then you're done. The problem is, everybody has seen on the news, and it's been broadcast, oh, well, overseas, they went in and they physically moved all the rocks, and they took the big caterpillars and they moved all the stuff, and, and they saved these people. What they never tell you is how many people they killed doing that because they did not bother to actually excavate correctly.
When you drive a Caterpillar over rubble, people pop like grapes.
Yeah.
They compact down nicely.
Don't ask me how I know this.
Well, and the other problem is the first things that you do when you get there is you get a 4 or 5 view, or 6 if possible, view of the scene. So you look at it from all 4 sides, the top and the bottom if you can, because you want to know what you're walking into.
Mm-hmm.
Fire rescue is going to take the lead because they're the ones trained to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to immediately call for support. You're going to get a hose line in. You're going to get utilities, shut everything off. And that's before anybody touches the pile.
Except they didn't get utilities shut off because there was a fire day 2.
No, they had everything shut off.
Then what was on fire on day 2?
It could, there's all kinds of.
They are
things.
thinking it was a spark gap from something.
Okay, I thought it was a
There are so many
gas line
batteries. There's so many batteries in people's lives these days.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
What got me was the other question the journalist asked.
Yeah.
Which was
Why was FEMA not in charge?
yes, this is the look.
They asked why FEMA wasn't in charge.
Because the government is the end all be all. So
Except FEMA is never in charge of a rescue. All FEMA does is sign the bill.
Well, okay, first off, FEMA is not involved in localized emergencies.
No.
Period. You have a building collapse, that's a localized emergency. That's not within the federal purview.
the other thing that I love is, has FEMA ever handled an emergency correctly? No. They have fallen down.
That would
There was
take
that
2
lost
hours.
dog. There was that lost dog back in '69. They might have handled it.
Yeah, I think that they found the dog, but it died. Therefore, it was.
Well, they ran over it with a caterpillar.
Probably.
But they
Yeah.
did recover the dog.
They've fallen down on every big event that they've been involved in.
Yeah, because that's not their purpose. People talk about mission creep. FEMA is to manage.
Yeah.
Right. They're supposed to be able to manage three
They're-
major events in the United
They're
States.
supposed
at
to
a
walk
time.
in and say, "Do you need help? And how much money do you need?" And that's it.
Right. Their charter says they have to be able to handle three major catastrophes in the United States
They
at
can't
a time.
handle one.
They can't handle one. And these people want them in charge of this.
Because if it comes from federal government, it must be good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's stupid.
Yes. This is why I swore at 1 minute, because journalists are that fucking stupid.
And Josh has the perfect answer.
Was that
When you put FEMA in charge of emergency response, you get formaldehyde trailers.
that ain't no
Yes.
lie. That ain't no lie.
They are still sitting over in Arkansas. And this is from Katrina, because there's still so much formaldehyde in them, they cannot even sell them
They've
or
been
give them
quiet.
away.
They've been quietly selling them off. I know, because when I was in the oil field, pretty sure I was in a FEMA trailer at some point at one of those sites.
FEMA, the only thing FEMA should be doing is showing up and saying, "What do you need?" "Well, we need X number of C-130s." And they go, "This is federal government. We need C-130s. Here you go. What else you need?"
Yeah.
Well, we need
That's not how.
3 live wombats and a sack and a can of axle grease. That's
That's
federal
not-
government. We need 3 wombats, a can of axle grease, and a sack. Here you
Yeah,
go. What else you need?
Have you ever known a federal government to operate in that capacity?
No,
No.
not ours anyway.
No, they as soon as they get a little bit of control,
Mission creep.
yes, they take a lot of control.
Yeah. The other thing, and we were talking about this earlier too, is the first thing you cannot do is put yourself as a rescuer in danger.
No.
Well,
And incident command has to run everything. So incident command devolves to whoever the senior fire person is there. And as things go on, usually it's higher and higher and higher person.
yeah.
The other thing is
if
you
they get out
can't
of
work 24 hours at a time.
Mhm.
Your maximum, when I was doing it, maximum was 12 hours, and that was in perfect weather. Any kind of weather issues, you were down less than that. We were down to about 8 the one time we had to do it. The other thing is, when you go in to do a void search, you're going in with a full backpack, air pack, whole 9 yards, because you never know what you're going to get into.
One of the things that law enforcement was doing during the Murrah City in Oklahoma, the Murrah City bombing in Oklahoma City, was the out-of-town law enforcement showed up, were tasked with running people off.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because you had people showing up out of the goodness of their hearts.
Looky loos.
Yeah,
And
well,
some ghouls.
and some ghouls to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And you look up and there's some guy in shorts and a t-shirt climbing the rubble. It's like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
And that people understand that, out-of-town law enforcement, it's like, keep anybody not in a shoot me vest off of this pile of rubble. We don't need to rescue them too.
The other thing is, people will come in from literally around the world to help. The IDF sent a heavy rescue team. The Mexican government sent a heavy rescue team from
Bless their
Mexico
hearts.
City.
Bless their hearts.
I'm pretty sure Fairfax, Virginia sent their rescue team. That may seem odd, but Fairfax has one of the best rescue teams in the United States, if not the world. And they include both search dogs and cadaver dogs. They made their bones, so to speak, on the pile in 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So they are, very, very much the experts. And there are 8 different areas in Florida that are broken up in zones that are considered rescue zones for Florida. Apparently, they've got 6 of the 8 working there. So they've got about 500 people total working 12 on, 12 off.
And that's starting to get into too many territory.
Yeah.
For the size of that pile, that's getting into too many bodies.
Well, they're doing 4-angle searches too, which is, more power to them. I wouldn't do it, but that's the way they're doing it. But the thing is, you cannot rush it.
Mm-mm.
Every piece of debris that's lifted, other than the bucket brigades, and even they have to be careful. Every piece of debris that gets lifted has to be looked at to see what it's sitting on, what's going to happen when it's actually lifted.
Has anybody played Jenga or pickup sticks?
Yeah.
Think of this as the most expensive game of pickup sticks you've ever done.
Oh, God, yeah. If they pick up the wrong piece and it shifts and collapses and kills somebody,
Or everybody.
or everybody,
Not only that, but the rigging. You've got to have expert riggers there
Mhm.
to be able to rig whatever that oddball shape is to actually pick it up. The other thing that was kind of interesting, we had a little bit of rain yesterday.
3
Little
inches
bit.
in about 37 seconds. I think.
Yeah.
Little bit, he says.
About literally 3 inches of rain up here in less than a half an hour. And
It's like somebody turned on a fire hose and then turned it off.
yeah,
It was that quick.
It's starting to feel like West Africa all over again.
Well, we're brown by now.
Yeah.
We're talking late June, early July.
Normal, yeah, normal.
The
The grass
90,
is
100 degree
crunchy.
temps
The
have,
grass is crunchy.
have they baked everything brown? Nope.
I'm starting to
Green.
mow my lawn. It's what, one day before July, trying to mow my lawn. I want to speak to my representative about this.
yeah. RK goes 3 inches in a half hour. That's kind of normal here. Yeah,
But it's
RK.
not normal here.
No.
It was so bad that I could not see well enough to drive. I was headed into town. I actually pulled off and stopped. Thankfully, I know roughly how wide the shoulders are up here. So I went till I kind of felt the right wheel drop off and went, okay, this is good.
That feels like it might have been a shoulder and not a culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So about 15 minutes later, it starts brightening up and I can gradually see. And I look, and about 50 feet ahead of me is the back end of a large semi dump truck. I never saw it. Then I glanced at my mirror, and there's a guy so close to me, I can't see his headlights. It's like, yeah. Cedar, on the other hand, yesterday.
I was driving down towards Austin and was driving in and out of it, and it was like hitting a wall. And then I couldn't pull over because I didn't know the road, and I wasn't driving my own vehicle and wasn't about to risk going off someplace I shouldn't be able to get back on from.
You were on 35, were you?
No, I was not. I went down 281 as you recommended.
It's pretty drive, isn't it?
It was very pretty.
Well, you can see,
When you-
yes.
when you
It
can
was
see.
very pretty yesterday coming back through the sections without the rain. Like, oh, there's a view. We didn't know this.
Wildflowers. Yay!
I did not expect Texas to remind me so strongly of the Pacific Northwest.
Normally it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the people
apparently-
in the Pacific Northwest right now are going, God, this feels like Texas, 118. What?
Yeah, they are.
One of my
They're-
cousins
they're like
in
Phoenix
Oregon
temps.
was telling my grandma, and my grandma passed it on to the family chat, that it was 115.
Yes.
And my grandma, it's in the high 90s, and she's in the high desert in eastern Oregon.
Yeah.
So, and she's miserable because
Well, I'm guessing it's pretty humid there.
No,
Yes.
not the high desert.
No, and
where my cousin Carla is, it's on the coast, and oh yes, it's
Yeah,
humid.
it's,
Oh, yeah.
it was
That's the
100.
Pacific
Yeah.
rainforest.
It's 108 on the coast, and it's pretty humid.
Yeah.
So you've got Phoenix,
It's
the
steaming.
temperatures, and North Texas humidity.
We got,
Yay!
well,
Sir Brass says, lost visibility while driving sounds like what happened to him in 1819, driving from Northeast PA to Buffalo in the snow for work.
What the hell was he driving in 1819? I thought, what, horse and buggy?
Mhm.
No. 2018, 2019.
Oh,
Oh.
Idaho also wonders where.
It's Curtis. I wouldn't put it past him in 1819.
Idaho also wonders where they got the Texas weather.
Well, the guys in Seattle and Portland are living in Houston right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
150-degree temps and 98% humidity. Yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
And I don't think there's many folks up there that actually have air conditioning in their houses
Yeah.
No, absolutely
because
not.
it's not that necessary.
It's geared towards how do we heat the house off and on year round.
Well, it's been a weird year down here already.
Yeah, that's no lie.
Back in April,
We got Cedar moving here. We got John moving here.
Yeah.
We're here.
outside of Hondo, Texas, they got a hailstone that was 6 inches across
Hmm.
and weighed over 1.25 pounds.
And this is why I rented covered parking when I got the apartment.
Well, if I saw a news article the other day that Texas, somewhere in Texas, they had a world record breaking.
Yeah, that's
hailstone.
it.
Yeah.
Trouble is, it wasn't a big one. They used the big one for martinis.
Yeah, margaritas.
Margaritas. excuse me.
Margaritas, this
Yeah.
is Texas.
Well, after they survived that hailstorm, they needed to drink first.
For the mix for the cocktails.
Oh, it's the
Texas.
proverbial. This is what happens on the dry line in Texas.
No kidding.
Well, you got to think about it. You get an ice crystal form, and that hailstone had to get lifted,
And dropped and lifted and
and
dropped.
dropped,
Yeah.
and lifted and dropped by air currents alone. And when it's how many pounds?
1.25
1.4
pounds.
Yeah.
1.4 pounds. Think of how hard that went.
Yeah.
That updraft
Yeah.
was blowing. Yeah, that's a pretty major storm.
Mhm.
In our cases, margaritas are good with hail in
Apparently,
it. Okay.
with world record breaking hail in it.
Yeah.
This is the biggest hailstone you've ever seen. Who's up for margaritas?
Yeah.
Welcome to Texas.
We've still got the house screw. Let's drink.
In Alaska, I'd make snow ice cream, and down here in Texas, you make hail margaritas.
Yeah.
The shorts,
Actually,
precipitation.
I've made snow ice cream down here before.
He used yellow snow. We don't know how to tell.
Well, in Alaska, because there's different kinds of snow, and if it's been there long enough, it gets ice crystals. So you want the freshly
Mhm.
fallen powdery stuff, otherwise the consistency's not any good.
Milk and sugar.
Yeah.
The problem with the freshly
Condensed
fallen powdery stuff is it tends to melt.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
when
wow.
you have that big of a bowl of it.
Yeah. And Sarah Singleton said over in Europe they had pea-sized hail this week. Looked a bit
Oh,
like
wow.
Sonic Ice.
Oh, wow. Pea-sized hail. Goodness.
There was an old.
I think somebody wants to come home for a while.
There was an old LaCroix Indian saying about snow that we used to follow in Minnesota. So
Don't eat the yellow stuff.
it's well loosely translated. It came out as sticky, no sticky, no sticky, sticky.
What?
If the snow is falling is sticky, it's going to melt. If it's not sticky, it's so cold it's not going to melt, and it's going to stick around. So
Actually,
sticky,
that
no
kinda
sticky, no
make-
sticky, sticky.
Actually, kind of makes sense.
It's much more poetic in LaCroix Indian, their language.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
What's going to be the same said about plutonium too? No sticky,
Yeah.
sticky, sticky, no
The next
sticky.
thing, 15.9 grams.
Yeah. Tequila is the devil. I'll agree with that. I don't break out in handcuffs, but yeah, I don't drink it anymore.
Tequila is a
Break
lesser.
out in
Is a,
handcuffs, was that by chance my husband's comment?
No, that was Stephanie's.
I can't even
Tequila
smell tequila
is
without turning
a
green.
lesser minor demon. Jägermeister is.
Jägermeister
we know you
tastes
would-
like pine floor cleaner. It smells.
Mm.
I've never tasted pine.
I have a theory that you can tell where somebody went to college by what makes them turn green just by the smell of it.
Actually, you're
So
probably
if I
not
tell you the
wrong.
name of the college I first went to, could you tell me what it would be?
I don't know. It's a theory. I haven't fleshed it out yet, but
Okay, because it was Appalachian Bible College, and
so it would have been some
Sweet
kind
tea.
of
Sweet tea.
no, it would have been some kind of Applejack or
Applejack
moonshine
or Fireball.
or moonshine.
well, since someone I went to classes with was expelled for bringing a 6-pack of beer on campus.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Damn.
RK asks, is Midwest Chick fur line? Midwest Chick responds, unfortunately not. And
What
she
was
wants to
fur-
know,
Did we
the
go
hell?
furry?
What the hell is fur lined?
Chainmail? We can
wants
do fur
to
lined
know if you
chainmail.
actually drank Jägermeister.
Oh yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, see, I can't even smell tequila without turning green.
Yeah.
Well, when we went. Did you go to the NRA meeting at Nashville?
No.
Kelly Grace was drinking Irish car bombs.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he was drinking Irish car bombs, so I turned and looked at him, and I saw the cream curdling before he took it, and I almost had to leave.
Yeah.
We call those monkey brains.
Ugh.
So there's two ways to do it. You do it all in a shot, what I guess is a car bomb, or you take a shot of Bailey's and don't swallow it, just hold it in your mouth. Then take a shot of lime juice and then swirl it around in your mouth and not spit.
Get a good level
That
of that.
doesn't even sound good.
It's not.
It's not.
Then why?
So we've got a running list in this chat of bad things. Ouzo,
Yeah.
Korean plum wine,
Never had it.
Sambuca.
Haven't had that.
I would throw in Mekong whiskey, rice whiskey from
Haven't had it.
Thailand.
OB beer.
OB is not bad. It's better than Crown, but not by much.
OB beer? Oh no, this is Korean OB beer. You liked OB beer?
When you couldn't get anything else in Busan and you were out with the Korean Marines, you kind of drank what they drank.
I can't do Jaeger anymore. Period. Just full stop. Can't do Jaeger. Can't even smell Jaeger anymore. God almighty.
What is it?
Tequila is, I can't do it straight. It has to be mixed in something.
I can't see even smell it. It just turns
And
me
there
green.
was this unfortunate incident with my roommate and screwdrivers. And I wound up wearing a screwdriver. Pre or post imbibing screwdriver I wound up wearing.
Much worse than pre.
Yes. And for a long time, screwdrivers were just ooh, ooh, ooh.
Much like pickled eggs.
No, bugger that for a lark.
Sanford says, I love tequila, I just hate jail. Point.
One
Yes.
to two, 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor.
Yeah.
So when I was 21, and I will say that because that makes me legal, my ex on our honeymoon fed me 2 shots of tequila and then walked me through an antique store.
Ooh.
It's one of the very few times in my life I've actually been drunk, and that was trippy.
Yeah. Josh says, hate the taste of agave, so no tequila. Yeah, well.
Do you taste it? Are
tequila.
you supposed to taste it?
Well, on a
After
good
a
one,
$400 and some odd bar bill in Florida, me and
Vodka
tequila
is
don't get
supposed to have
along
no flavor.
anymore.
Good, really good vodka has no flavor.
Yeah.
I really like the botanical vodka that's been infused with flowers.
Right.
gin. You're a gin person.
Yeah.
I did actually discover that there were really nice gins. They're also very expensive.
Hendrix.
Raptor
Yes,
says,
Hendrix.
screwdrivers are like orange flavored medical disinfectant.
Yes.
Not when they've been thrown up on you, they're not.
I've had vodka that's been distilled through the hydraulics of a T-72 tank.
I
Which has
did
a-
that just to watch the hair pop out of my chest.
It's got a unique bite to it.
Is that what we call
Sort of a
Josh.
propylene glycol bite. Little propylene glycol backburn there.
Yeah, hold on. I got to clarify this.
You got-
Josh, I am not the one that said to go look up Stingray's video last week.
That was me.
That was Ian. Blame him for that. Now, granted that we happen to know him and he's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, and he's a hell of a cook.
Yeah.
Or chef. He's
He's
actually
a chef.
actual professional chef.
Yeah, that's weird. There was a
It is really weird, isn't it?
there was a major
Disconnect.
well, a career shift with them.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
From
Vodka is purported to be flavorless, according to Sir Brass. Yeah,
Yes, really good vodka. The stuff out of Sweden, flavorless. The stuff,
the cheap stuff you get in a plastic bottle, not so much.
the stuff you use dark rye bread to filter through the hydraulic system of T-72,
Yeah.
it's got that bite to it. I just,
I usually use cheap vodka when I'm making vanilla. Maybe I should try some of the expensive stuff for making vanilla. People keep telling me to use bourbon, but bourbon has its own flavor.
yeah.
Yeah,
don't
don't use
ever
it.
use Stoli for anything. 'Cause that's actually cheap vodka.
Stoli peels labels off of ceramic really well.
It's alcohol.
It's potato alcohol is all it is.
I had some Siamese vodka one time. Ooh, which I will never.
does that make you see quadruple instead of double?
Well, the bad thing about it was a very hoity-toity place that we were conducting negotiations in. So when they brought out this shot glass, which was normal in America, we would call a rocks glass, and they served the saucer of white sand next to it, I'm going, what the hell? And apparently, you take a pinch of the white sand and you sprinkle on top of this booze, and it drags the fusel oil to the bottom.
Yeah.
So you can drink it without getting a belly full of fusel oil. And that's why I went, I'm in the wrong line of work.
Well, it's like soju. I mean, when you open the bottle, you make sure you flick the first inch off the top of the bottle.
Fusel oil?
Because that's where the formaldehyde is.
Yeah.
That first inch is the formaldehyde in soju. The rest is pure grain alcohol, I think.
Well, what's really bad in Japan is double distilled sake.
Okay, after having to drag the fusel oil to the bottom, I don't drink anything out of the Pacific, out of East Asia. No.
Oh, by the way, I think we can count this as food, so 20 minutes.
I think we started talking about food even earlier than this.
We were talking about Mexican earlier, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, right after the 007 scene when he's drinking the Sammy's vodka, yeah. Connery's face on that one was like, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, here's my issue with 007. He always asks for it shaken, not stirred.
You wanted a Bradford, not a martini.
Right, it's not a martini, it's a Bradford.
Yeah.
Second, it breaks the ice up from making for a weak drink, and it bruises the gin.
And if you're drinking
Okay.
a Bradford, that's what
So-
you want.
007, everybody thinks he's cool, and I'm like, no, this guy's a fucking lightweight, okay?
Well,
3 bottles of beer, he's under the table.
remembering that 007 was a thug.
Yeah.
Fleming wrote him as a thug.
Oh, he was Scottish, yeah. That's why.
Well, originally he wasn't. That was retroed in.
No. The whole Eton thing. Roger Moore was too.
Oh no, we're talking
Upper class.
the books.
The
not
books.
Yes.
Fleming didn't have a backstory for Bond until Connery, and then he retroed him to be Scottish based on Connery's performance.
Right, because Connery grew up as a thug in
Well,
Glasgow. Where did Connery grow up?
Fleming
Glasgow?
during his time in MI6 and SOE.
He was a thug.
Yeah.
Well, the folks that he dealt with, the folks he based Commander Bond on, were London thugs. They were very good at what they did, but they were psychopaths with a thin layer of gentility. And they smoked nasty cigarettes, drank coffee. Bond was famous for drinking coffee, not tea.
Yeah.
And screwing up a gentleman's drink.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they were basically chavs.
They didn't know any better.
Right, hence the shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody who thinks
Because-
they're being cool ordering a martini shaken, not stirred.
You're ordering a Bradford.
Yeah,
We're
you're ordering a
Americans.
weak
If it's a
drink.
British accent, it must be elegant and refined.
Well, and
Oh, no.
thanks to the connotations with Bond, it has become elegant to order
Yeah.
shaken, not stirred. It annoys those of us that like a good martini, but
Remember the movie Trainspotting?
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. Oh, it's about 4 Glaswegians who are
Well, there you
and
go.
the heroin culture that they're in, right?
Glasgow.
Well, it was funny because I saw it when I was working in England. I saw it at the movie theaters, and it was a great movie. And then I came back here, and everybody's raving about it. So I went to the theaters here and saw it, and they subtitled it
Oh, God.
Why?
because the Glaswegian accent
Oh, for
was
God's
so
sake.
thick.
Oh, for God's
Nobody here could understand it, and I was laughing.
Well, to this day, I cannot understand Cockney.
sake. Oh, nobody understands Cockney.
Yeah, Cockneys, they're doing that on purpose. It's like border Mexicans. They
And
speak
rhyming
Spanish.
slang is just fun.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I
fun,
wouldn't
but
be able to understand it spoken, but in a book, I can figure out what they're
you
saying.
have to know it's like Kimmings.
It's coded.
Well, it's basically a street version of Norse Kinnings. Just that it's not, you have to know the context and you have to know a
You
great
have-
deal about the culture before this makes sense.
You have to have
Yes.
the book that they're decoding it from.
Right.
And Raptor and Jesse made a good point. Craig is the closest to the book Bond
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he is a psychopath.
He's
in
a
the fantasy.
thug.
Yeah.
He's a thug.
Mhm.
He's a thug in tuxedo, which is what Fleming wrote Fleming
Well,
wrote Bond as.
Everybody's like, he's a great spy. No. First off, he's not a spy. He's an assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason they would send him out, supposedly,
with a
would be
license to kill
we
because
want somebody dead.
Yeah.
So go kill this guy.
Yeah.
Don't sneak in and find the plans and photocopy them and leave.
That's
No,
somebody else's.
that's somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Joe Don Baker played the CIA agent in several of the Bond movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy you send in
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
looks so much like
Well,
an American tourist.
it was Pierce Brosnan who was the third best Bond.
Yeah.
Third most classic Bond. There was one where he goes to meet Joe Don Baker, and Joe Don Baker's in a, what was that little crap rear-engined vehicle?
I don't.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they pull over, and he gets out, and he says, "Pass." You know, he's tap 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 tap, passing hammer, bam. Chugga, 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 chugga.
Yeah.
I have been there. I've had to beat on that flywheel before.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything. Well, that's it. Joe Don Baker's the guy you send in to
Yeah.
photocopy the plans.
Because the
Well,
one you
the guy
send
you
in
send
is
in
the
there.
one that everybody looks at and goes, that can't possibly be a spy.
No, he's with no. That guy's too bumbling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you send Bond in to kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole sidebar that's going on in here.
Uh-oh.
Spies don't get involved in risk taking and killing. They're pure information.
Mhm.
You get the wet work DOs to do the dirty work, not their sources.
Right.
That's why a whole bunch of folks get seconded to various agencies from special forces.
Mm-hmm.
Is because, we need this guy whacked and we're too delicate. So
Yeah.
we'll call somebody from special forces to come
Yeah.
for us.
That's why we all took the personality test when we entered.
Yeah.
They were looking for somebody with
A certain set of skills.
a certain set of morals and skills.
Now, in the movies, Bond, or the best Bond was Connery, movie was.
Yeah.
If you look into books, Craig's number one. What's his name? Dalton. Timothy Dalton was number two.
Yeah.
And Brosnan was number three.
I think Brosnan was too upper class British.
Yeah.
He had the psychopathic attitude down. If you watch
Yeah.
it,
Connery
Yeah.
was playing it for laughs.
Yeah. Well,
Moore definitely was.
well, Connery was wearing a toupee through all of his Bond movies, so yeah,
Yeah.
he was playing it for laughs.
Yeah.
Well, From Russia with Love, my favorite Bond movie ever. Second one that Connery did, he had gotten comfortable in it. That's a good Bond movie.
Who did the?
But it's Bond movie.
Was
Yeah.
it Roger Daltrey that did one?
That was
Was it Daltrey or Timothy Dalton?
no,
Dalton.
he did two.
Dalton.
Dalton did two. You're thinking Lazenby, George Lazenby.
Yeah, George Lazenby. George Lazenby, probably the best Bond in my opinion.
No.
No.
No,
He was also playing it for laughs.
That book was the one that they based that script on. Was supposed to be the last Bond book.
Yeah.
And
You know how he got the job, right? Okay. He had no acting experience. He was a swimmer from Australia.
Yep.
He turned in a fake resume, showed up, they took a picture and looked, oh my God, you've done all this work. Congratulations, you're Bond. Did the Bond, and someone went back, started checking, and the journalist went, this guy's never acted before. And the broccoli company went, what?
I'm not surprised.
What?
An actor who's lied on their resume, I am not surprised.
Okay, lying on your resume is fluffing it. He invented one out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
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 Rebel Wilson invented one out of whole cloth. Tony Curtis invented one out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Anybody in the studio system in the 40s and 50s, whole cloth. Okay, and it wasn't them; it was the publicity department at the studio doing it.
Well,
Yeah, we got a shift in the sidebar. John Clark from Clancy. He was the original wet work guy for.
So now we want to get into who was the best.
He was the
I
gray man.
couldn't
He
tell
Who was the
supposed
best
to be-
Ryan?
I can't.
He faded into the background.
So they're making a movie where he's going to be a black
Already made.
SEAL.
Yeah, already made. And it's
I've heard the buzz. I'm not going to watch it
No.
because similar to, I don't think I've ever actually seen all of the Bond movies, but
Yeah.
I've read the books.
There's 20 some odd movies now.
for Bond.
Yeah.
The Jack Ryan, that's all
Yeah.
Clancy. And
Yeah,
Clancy,
who's the best Jack Ryan? Because we've got Harrison Ford, we've got the Baldwin, we've got
see,
the Office guy.
I'm not all that invested in the because I don't care. Clancy had one good book. Hunt for Red October was good.
Every Russian sub commander should be Scottish. Yes, I agree with that.
The book, not the movie, the book. Clancy had one good book, and the rest of them he dined out on. He phoned in a lot of his work.
We had that book went around the tent when we were in the field on a field problem once, and it was in 20 pieces. So everybody was reading a piece, and it got really tough figuring out which piece you had next.
Yeah, RK says, Omar Sharif got his role in Lawrenceville, Arabia by lying about being able to ride a camel. Yeah.
Everybody lies about being able to ride a camel.
I have ridden one once around a corral at fair.
I got bit by one once.
Can I put it on my resume?
Just once?
Well, it bit me. I was a little kid. It bit me, and the camel hound just whacked the shit out of his nose. I mean, like closed fist, just wow. And the camel was like, blah, 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 blah.
My father was a horseman. He loved Arabs, Arabian horses, and fondness. Hated camels.
Those little Arabian ponies, you mean?
Yeah. Hated camels with a passion and 1,000 flaming suns.
What?
And one of them got a nibble on me one time, and then disappeared. And I looked, and my father was at the end of a line drive with a 2x4. You know how Babe Ruth, and it's all the way back here, and that camel's head was almost 180 degrees on its neck.
Yeah.
That was the most well-behaved camel I have ever ridden. I've ridden quite a few.
Yeah. And Cedar. Sarah Singleton says that goes under special skills.
What?
Riding a camel.
Move.
You want to go?
Well,
I don't think I want a job.
Sorry. I'm coming. Honest to God.
Obi, my voice isn't even that high.
Oh, went right through the face of my skull. The whole Tony Curtis thing would remind me of a quote from Harrison Ford, because he was told that he'd never be an actor.
Yeah.
And the producer or director, or whoever was giving him bad news, said, "You're no Tony Curtis." And Harrison Ford went, "Well, no."
And neither is he.
And no, you'll understand. This when Tony Curtis's first role was as a bellboy or waiter or something. He came out on the screen, had no lines. Everybody said, "That is a star." And Harrison Ford said, "I thought the purpose was for everybody to say that is a waiter." And they went, "All right, you got the job."
Yeah.
And didn't he spend considerable time as a carpenter?
Yeah.
Harrison
Yes.
Ford
Yeah,
does.
he was hired off the scene,
Yeah.
off set he was a carpenter on set and got hired because they were desperate.
Yes. Yeah, Stephanie. Everybody's glasses are still in place, but I'm wondering about the windows in the house after that.
Oh, right to the face of my skull. Damn.
Yeah. Rafter went, the difference between Tony Curtis and Rebel Wilson is Tony Curtis could act. Point.
That's a good point.
Yes.
There's a lot of folks not going there.
Yeah.
Not going there.
That's funny because I grew up without TV or movies. So my experience with things tends to be from books. And one of the few things that isn't that way around for me was MASH, because my dad liked the original.
Okay.
So I actually saw that when I was relatively young. But I've also found and read the books and found them to be amusing, but the movie in that case is better.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Josh says, Ian, I'm on earbuds. Light a candle in memory of my hearing after Obi's little outburst.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
No kidding.
You didn't do anything.
Yeah, he did. He ruptured 3 of my 2 eardrums.
You didn't do anything. You don't get a treat.
Oh, you said the T word. You're in
Yeah.
trouble now.
Yeah, RK, Richard Hooker was the actual original
MASH.
author
Yes.
of MASH. Webb Griffin did write a few books under Hooker's name, but that was after the fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the MASH books weren't that good.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
No, my folks read MASH when we were in Nigeria, and we had no TV. We didn't get to watch the series till we got here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the few books my father wouldn't let me read.
Yeah. No, it was quite vulgar.
And he would not let us. He let me read Operation Rhino, for God's sake, but I couldn't read any of the MASH books, which really I felt to be most unfair.
Ouch. Sorry, Sarah. Next time we'll put Obi out before we start.
Did we blow out somebody else's eardrums?
She's on headphones the rest of the house. Was trying to sleep. Or is trying to sleep. Yes, sir, Brass. It actually was a book originally.
Yeah, it's a series.
MASH?
Yeah, Hooker wrote the first one. He was actually a MASH doctor.
Was he?
In Korea. Wrote the first one. And then Butterworth, under the W.B. Griffin, as he's better known, and a couple other names, wrote a couple of the follow-ons to that.
Much like, I think Hooker actually got out 3. He got out several.
I think 2.
And much like Clancy,
Yeah.
who wrote 4 or 5 Ryan books, and then somebody else took over after.
Yeah.
And you can tell. I mean,
yeah.
Clancy
Oh, yeah.
was phoning in everything after The Hunt for Red October, but the guys that took over after him, oh my gods, I don't
Yeah.
know how they got picked to write, but whoever was in charge of picking the folks to write Clancy books should be taken out behind the bar in the Old Yeller.
I will read darn near anything, and I read one of those and stopped.
Yeah.
And I liked most of Clancy, not all of them. There's some of them are. Bear and Dragon is particularly awful,
Yeah.
I read it.
but
Well, some people,
And I'm not
and some
saying-
people say that's one of his better ones.
oof.
So it depends. It depends.
Oh no, it totally does. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to like W.E.B. Griffin. I know
Yeah.
this. They're brain candy. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Lucas wrote the scripts for the films. He only had one good Star Wars script in him. That was the first one. After that, they started going downhill, and then the Lucas studio said, "Hey, George, how about we let somebody else write the next one?"
Why don't you go over here and direct things? And that's
Well, actually, his best script was American Graffiti.
Well, I'm just talking about the Star Wars
Yeah.
genre. He had one
You,
script.
you and your friggin' Star Wars. I can care less about
Empire
Star
Strikes
Wars.
Back to me is the best Star Wars. As far as tightness and how well the script was written. He didn't write that.
No, he didn't.
He paid somebody else to write it.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And
he had-
he should have done that for every one of them.
He had the first one. He had Star Wars.
Yeah.
And really he kind of ripped that off from 30 serials.
Well,
Well,
and it's a Western in space.
Yeah.
Well,
but
not only that, but it's
classic space opera.
yeah.
I mean,
It's
space
the-
opera
it's
evolves
Kurosawa's
from horse
Fortress.
opera.
Yeah.
It's
And,
Western.
well,
Yes.
yeah, but that was it. He had that one. And then,
which was a ripoff,
yeah. And
but a well-made ripoff. And I honestly, I think that he was kind of hoping but he wasn't planning on more. That was a one-off. It was a B-grade buddy flick.
Harrison Ford said he expected them to kill his character at the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be a one-off.
Yeah.
But
Lucas, I think he would, he would have been nice to have more, but he wasn't expecting the whole episode 4. Everybody said, well, that proves he was going to do. No, that's how you opened the serials back in the 30s.
Yeah.
With episode whatever, a made up through the dice. It's episode number 91. It's a second episode of the series.
the
where
Emperor Ming has landed on the
Yeah.
forest moon of that's how it got started.
Jesse says Lucas's Star Wars are better when he was working with somebody who kept him on a leash.
No kidding.
Hmm.
Here's some blow and a hooker go in
Yeah.
the corner.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's much like writing. The
I
number.
never got blow or a hooker when I was writing.
wait, weren't you
got
signed
to
on with
see-
Vox for a while?
I got to see Margaret Ball giggle like a little girl while reading How David Weber Orders People. She had never seen that, and she just lost it.
Oh, I can
Anyway.
imagine.
Before we derailed you, what were you saying?
Blow on hookers.
No, this is not a beer jug in Amsterdam. Anyway, authors. The number of pseudonyms out there and the number of authors that have written under those pseudonyms is just amazing.
Well, there's good reasons for it.
Yeah, for a
sometimes, and
while you
sometimes
had
bad
to.
reasons. Yes, exactly.
But the number that wrote under contract to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
No,
Nora Roberts.
Ghostwriters, yeah.
there hasn't been a real Nora Roberts for what, 20 years?
No, I don't read her books.
But those books keep coming out 3 or 4 a year. They're contracted.
Well, contrary to ghostwriting, there are a lot of authors that writing for actual traditional publishers that when they switch genres, the traditional publisher would require them to use a pen name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I found weird.
It's
And
sometimes
also-
multiple pen names.
Yeah.
And
That's
also, an
because
author's
one for
name
every
is-
genre.
Right, an author's name is their brand. So
Yeah.
what they're selling isn't a person; they're selling the brand
Right.
of Nora
but that
Roberts, J.D.
traditional
Robb,
publishing
James Patterson.
houses are based in tradition, and the tradition says that if you are successful under your name in horror, if you write a science fiction, you should write it under a different name because nobody will read it.
They're
And
actually,
And
they're actually
far
not wrong.
They're not far wrong there.
Yeah.
Jim's found that out.
So when
The
I
folks
worked,
who read Jim's Gray Man and love them don't like his science fiction.
right.
His contemporary Western has a totally different fan base than his.
Really, because I've read all three genres that he's one chapter at a time.
You are unusual. So when I worked as a librarian, we based what we ordered in for books mostly off of what the patrons wanted. And if they read James Patterson, which they wanted was more James Patterson. And most of us at this table either write or have intimate knowledge of writers, and you just can't produce that much. Hence the ghostwriting and the James Patterson writing with whoever unknown
I really
name
think
is.
some of these contract writers, what they really, it's not really a writer. What they have is paragraphs on 3x5 cards on this giant wall. And an editor stands back about 30 feet and chucks darts at the wall.
The Nick Carter series.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever read those in the 70s or 80s?
No.
Okay, I remember this guy. He was a super spy, and I remember he carried a Luger, a Sykes Fairbairn dagger, and a gas grenade in a very improbable location.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
And it's like,
Why does he have 3 balls?
yeah, exactly. That's you got it in one.
Yeah.
Wait, did he have the Luger there too, or just
No.
the gas grenade?
And he called the Luger was Wilhelmina.
Yeah.
Was it a PO8 Luger?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah. Yeah, sure,
Those
holster.
incredibly finicky pieces of shit.
Yes.
Folks, I own one. It
And he had a shortened Sykes Fairbairn on the inside of his wrist.
Which
shortened.
which
That's
would have
what
made it
Webb Griffin
absolutely
got that.
useless.
right. They're not that big to begin with.
No, well, and then when I actually joined, and here's a gas grenade. You are not taping that to the inside of your thigh. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Not if you want to stay on the soprano section in your local choir.
That's-
Anyway,
Yeah.
Waddle like a penguin?
RK says spousal unit actually outsold J.K. Rowling for an entire day until her name was released as the actual author.
No.
Have to say Rowling's so-called thriller was bloody awful. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I've heard as well.
But anyway, they turned out like 103 of these books.
Yeah.
Just bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam. And it got to where my father loved them. I don't know why. It got to where he came in one time and I was redoing his library. He had these books and he had Louis L'Amour books.
Yeah.
At least Louis L'Amour wrote all his books. I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was redoing his library in sections by which author was doing this particular series of
Yeah.
books. And it drove him nuts because Dad's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. Like, nope, this one author, I don't know who he is, but he's the one that wrote this one.
You have not seen Angry until after I reorganized his bookcases by height.
And I can't say I blame him.
Yeah. Ray Conrad says Hunter Harrington is the second place winner in the Media Mary Sue contest.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes, Sarah, I am at work on the fourth Rim World. I'm at 46,000 words. It's getting there. Patterson is formulaic gross. The other thing is you find authors that will fall into the repeatability trap. And I think I don't know if we talked about this at dinner or on here,
Which time?
about the five plots.
Readers want that, though. A lot of readers do not want adventure. They want to know exactly what's inside those
I
covers.
hate to
when they
tell
crack it
folks
open.
this,
A
but
lot of readers want to feel like they're smarter than the author, so they can which is why they like the
It's
formula.
It's not
Because
even
then
that.
you can outguess what the author is doing.
If you look at the bell curve of intelligence, most readers fall right in the middle, right there at that peak. And because I watched a lot of people come in and out of the library and paid attention to what they were checking out because I was just thinking about writing. And most people do want to know exactly what they're getting when they pick up that new book.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when, there's like somebody, I had an English professor tell me that Shakespeare wrote every plot. Since once Shakespeare stopped writing, every plot you could find in a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think there might be a couple that fall outside his purview.
Yeah, but
not many.
But he didn't write every plot. What he did was he wrote plays based upon what are, for want of a better word, big things in a person's life.
Yeah, and that's
it.
When you get down to the 5 plots, there's I hate to tell folks this because people lose their mind. That's the same plot that, what's her name, McSmurryface wrote.
Yeah.
Well, and that the plot that what's her name, McSmurryface wrote has been used by 14 other people throughout the last 100 years. There aren't that many plots. There aren't that many ways for.
We're human beings. We operate a specific way. Because
and Josh says, and Shakespeare stole those plot lines.
Oh yes.
And the question is, was it actually William Shakespeare that wrote them?
We're not going there. We're not going there because there will be a stabbing.
Bacon wrote them all.
You're going to get stabbed.
And an arm will reach out from Colorado, and yes.
There will be a stabbing.
The problem is that Bacon couldn't have written them because he spoke a different brand of English than Shakespeare did.
And Sarah Singleton says, "Yep, the version I heard was that between the Bible and Shakespeare, everything is covered."
Yeah,
pretty much.
And that's and the people people get wrapped on the axle. I can't write that. That plot's been used by what's name McSmurryface. Nobody cares. Write your book.
Yep.
As long as you're not using the same character name.
Yeah. They'll think, and actually, this is a quote. They'll think I scrubbed the serial numbers off. Write your book.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna care as long as you don't use, add Mick to the last name of the main character. Nobody's gonna care. Move on. Drive on.
An author named Bill Baldwin wrote the Helmsman Saga, which is a series of, I think, 9 books now. And he ripped off World War I and World War II for the plots of all these books, right? So you've got 2 books, World War I, 2 books were interwar, and the rest were World War II, and then post-war. And you can tell this guy studied that history, and that's what he wrote his books on.
Well, okay.
I will admit I've been listening to hardcore history and the supernova in the East, and listening to him talking about the Marines invading Palau and Okinawa, and thinking,
Well, David Drake's famous for doing that too.
Well, no.
no, because he's a historian.
One of my very favorite series in science fiction is the STEM series by Alan Cole and Chris Claremont.
Yeah.
I friggin' love that series. And the reason why I love it is because of all the loving Easter eggs they put in there. Because it is World War I, the interwar years, World War II, the Cold War, and the French Revolution. And the Easter eggs. Every time I read that series, I find more Easter eggs. There's an obscure battle that nobody outside of Burma ever heard about, that the Gurkhas actually cover themselves in glory, but nobody has ever heard. And the name of that battle is a code word in this series.
Oh yeah. Well, Drake does the same thing. But he doesn't. He gets more wide range on which battles he picks from. Because I've read one of his Hammer Slammers, and I thought, no, that's straight out of the Peloponnesian War.
David wrote those as a warning, because he was in Vietnam with the Army as an intelligence specialist.
Oh yeah, well he was assigned to a tank battalion as an intelligence specialist.
Yeah. So
I was talking about writing what you know.
Yeah.
He saw war up close and personal.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is the battles you read in Drake's novels.
Yeah.
They're taken right out of history.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he did that for a reason. He said, I want to show, because I talked to him about LibertyCon a few years ago. He said, I want to show people what it's like if there really is a war.
Yes.
He said, I'm writing these as cautionary tales.
I sat my very first ever No Shit There I Was panel at LibertyCon. And talk about hard to talk. Sitting on a panel looking down, seeing David Drake giving this, saying, wow.
Is it the same one you were sitting next to Aaron on?
No. So he got to, one of the things that loosened me up was he got talking about the beehive rounds.
Yeah.
And said, they load up a dial of ink. And I went, oh my God, he just said. And you went right on. It's like, oh my God, he said dial of ink.
Ian, I wanted to see your look on your face when I told you this. My son made me watch a movie with him. It's called The Siege of Jericho. And then he turned to me after we were done watching it, and he said, I want to learn more about African history. Okay, yes. I want to learn more about the Cold War.
No.
Not the same thing.
It's not history, child.
Okay. The Cold War in Africa was warm.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And Raptor says, yeah, rolling hot is the Tet Offensive in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I love is how much of jargon and lingo in the military has carried over from the Vietnam era.
Oh yes.
Because when I was in the 80s, we still talk about dinks and it was just.
Sanford said Elsbriggs de Camp, the Unbeheaded King, was a fantasy version of Kenneth Roberts' The Black Rose Romance. Yeah, that's pretty much true.
But you know,
And Harkay says, recently read a book that was basically Thermopylae. Wow.
gonna be a lot of those coming out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
After 300, I was shocked after the success of the movie 300. I was shocked more didn't come out.
300 had absolutely nothing to do with history.
No, it didn't.
No, it was
Comic book.
It was a
but-
comic book. It was a loving, frame by frame from a comic book. But that's neither here nor there. I was shocked that that was a tremendously successful movie, and I just knew that we were going to see a crap ton of 300 inspired books, and we didn't. They just now started to come out, which I kind of shocked me.
Jesse says, LSD was okay when he wasn't butchering Conan. Yeah.
That's no lie.
Yeah.
That's no lie.
I think Edgar Rice Burroughs did a better job with that one myself. But
There's a prolific writer.
I have a deep affection for Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Oh God, yes.
He wrote
He was my first.
the
in some
John
ways.
Carter series,
John Carter, the
John Carter,
Tarzan,
Mars,
the Tarzan series, the John Carter series,
Center of Earth.
the
the Venus, John.
Conan series. I mean, these are all, and he didn't. This is before the era when you could just have a contract writer.
Well, and that's the one he wrote in the serials. They were chapter by, or a lot of them were chapter by chapter in monthly magazines.
Yeah.
Which really, Amazon's doing something similar.
They're trying to bring it back with Vela.
Yeah, with Bella,
Yeah.
where you got chapter by chapter a month at a time. And I'm hoping it'll bring back the pulp genre because pulps are so good.
Amazon's actually not looking at the golden age of science fiction and pulps. They're looking at fan fiction and all the sites of fan fiction that are hugely popular.
Don't get me on fan fiction.
Yeah.
My daughters read a lot of it. So it's one of the things that I would say people would be like, kids aren't reading these days. And I'm like, have you noticed how much time they're spending reading fan fiction?
Is it mean to say that
It
fan
doesn't have to
fiction
be
is the
good.
furry of the writing crowd?
It doesn't have to be good. If it gets the kids reading, I don't care.
Sanford
fiction
says Drake carried out the sword for Sarah's renewal of vows, which also happened to be coincidentally your wedding. And
Drake, we were actually the ones that wanted to do the wedding ceremony from Glory Road. And Tony Weisskopf offered Lady Vivimus from Hank's collection.
Oh wow!
And Drake carried it out
Oh wow!
for the wedding, and that was one of those moments.
LibertyCon.
LibertyCon.
Sanford says I'm still squeeing and bragging 6 years later.
Oh, he will be forever.
Fan fiction. There's a lot of issues I have with fan fiction. One of the biggest is the fanfic community is one of the most toxic cyber cesspools you will ever get off into.
Oh yeah.
Have you been in Reddit?
No, as a matter of fact.
Don't go in Reddit.
Trust me, not.
Yes.
I'm trying to pull the horns back on social media
I have
because
teenagers, and I try to monitor where they're hanging out, which is why I have a Tumblr account.
You have a TikTok account yet?
your hair
I do
isn't.
not,
your
because
hair
I'm not
isn't
that
purple enough to
buddy
have a
with
Tumblr
Chinese
account.
espionage.
RK says 300 was all about men's abs, and I loved it.
Yes.
So the 300 was the romance novel of
Oh no!
movies?
It's like we watched it, and then I looked at Rita and said, "And tell me the plot." She says, "I don't remember."
Don't care.
I don't remember.
They were pretty.
That
That's
was
all that matters.
Yes.
RK says fan fiction can be very good, and it can also be very creepy and horrifying.
The fan fiction, the fan groups on fan fiction are the most entitled, parasitic, toxic collections of human garbage you will ever meet. Ask Anne Rice.
Yeah.
Ask J.K. Rowling. There are issues with fan fiction. I don't want to get sued by somebody in fanfic, claiming I ripped them off for my own work.
And Kathleen Sanderson, whoever that is.
That would be my mother. Hi, Mom.
Oh, says, Cedar,
Uh-oh.
some of the stuff
Uh-oh.
that Junior Mad Scientist was reading when she was 14 was really bad.
Yes, it was.
Not so much badly written, but teaching bad morals.
Yes.
Oh,
There we go.
thank you, Miss Sanderson.
But
My mother, by the way, has taught English
Uh-oh.
and often edits for me.
Ah,
If you've ever wondered why there will never be any smutty scenes in my books, hi, Mom.
I don't write smut well. I figure if I need to write smut, I will.
smile for your mother.
I figure if I have to write smut, I'll punt it over to Mona Lisa, and then she'll give me something to make my cheeks burn, and I'll cut and paste and not read.
Yeah.
It's better not to describe it and leave it to the imagination of the reader, because they can take it
Well,
their own particular direction, which
my-
is much
my
better for
thing-
them
my
than
thing
anything that
is-
comes out of my head.
So
And your
you're saying-
mother's laughing.
So you're
Oh, yes,
saying
I'm
you're
sure.
saying you should write smut as they lean into kiss and the camera slowly pans away to the sunset.
Okay.
Indeed.
That's it.
Edgar Rice Burroughs, Robert E. Howard, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Those folks, those are my models for writing.
Yeah.
I want to write pulps. I'm not ashamed to say
There
I
was
want to
some smutty stuff in Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter series.
Mm.
Our
Not
case
so much,
says
not
I
very-
can't write smutty scenes because I can't keep a straight face.
hire somebody. Mona Lisa is a really good writer to do it for you. Cut
So-
and paste and run.
So there's a blog with a name that, well, I'm going to say it anyway. It's Smart Bitches Trashy Books, and it's a romance blog, and they dissect lovingly some of the more turgid romance prose, and you can't read that with a straight face. And now I can't read a lot of romance novels with a straight face either.
There's no possible way that could have happened without it. 3 extra legs.
Yeah.
What?
No,
Yeah.
essentially that's it. It's like, where did that extra arm come from?
Yeah.
It's like he gropes
Sarah
this, he
Singleton
gropes that,
says-
he gropes. Wait a minute.
When your parents are your proofreaders, ...
Yes.
I want to. I really
Nobody
want
here
some-
has met my mother. I don't have that issue.
Sir Brass says, if you need to write smut, just ask Ringo.
No,
I'm
don't
like-
ask Ringo. He'll tell you.
I love the sex and zero G prose
Yeah,
because it doesn't work that way.
gravity is kind of necessary for what
You
they're
need it.
describing.
There's,
You need rubber bands.
there's
Yeah.
laws of
Big rubber
physics
bands.
and
Cedar,
well, no, you don't need big rubber bands. You can do it like the dolphins. Dolphins have a third
And
who will nudge.
Cedar's mom says, Juniper saying hi,
That would be my sister.
and I want to read about it.
No, seriously, dolphins have
about dolphin sex?
No.
dolphins have a third that will nudge the couple.
Why are you telling me this?
I'm enjoying it. That's why.
Of course you are.
So I
And-
foresee somebody who writes.
We've
zero-
wasted another hour of your time, folks.
Oh. I got an instant message the other day. They want us to go to 2 hours. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I know. We're not going to do that.
No.
All right, folks. We will see you on Thursday. Cedar, thank you for coming up and participating.
Thank you, Cedar.
That was fun.
That was
Thank you.
We try to have
And,
fun. We violate all the rules of
Yeah.
podcasting, and we have fun doing it.
We've written our own and violated those too.
And Sanford's last shot says, Cedar has a rubber band stretcher. Not going there.
Sanford!
Okay, it's a castrating tool
Stop.
that I use for stuffing
Cedar.
balloons.
Yeah. All right. Remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I'm actually fairly sure the illustrator went away